I think, if everything starts with a thought. I mean, everything that you do in your life, you have to have a thought before you initiate an action, right? So if you believe that your thoughts have something to do with your destiny, like any great leader in history understands that, the first thing you have to do is you have to decide, are you going to be defined by a vision of the future, or are you going to live by the memories of the past? So, give you an example. Most people wake up in the morning, and your brain is a record of the past. It's an artifact of everything you've learned and experienced to this moment, right? It's a memory bank. So most people wake up in the morning and they start thinking about their problems, and those problems are connected to certain people and things at certain times and places. And the moment they start turning on those circuits, those memories are actually causing them to think in the past. Every single one of those memories has an emotion associated with them, and emotions are the end product of past experiences. So then the moment they recall the event, or they recall some problem in their life, they start feeling unhappy, they start feeling discouraged, they start feeling anxious. Now, thoughts are the language of the brain, and feelings are the language of the body, and how you think and how you feel creates your state of being. So we could say then, most people's entire state of being when they start their day is in the familiar past. Well, if you live in the familiar past, then it makes sense you're going to create the predictable future. So what happens for most people is they get stuck in their biology. So think about this. Your body is your unconscious mind. It doesn't know the difference between an experience in your life that creates an emotion and an emotion that you can create by thought alone. So if you're living by the same emotion every single day, and those emotions are influencing your thoughts, and you can't think greater than how you feel, or feelings have become the means of thinking, you're thinking in the past. Your lens of the future is going to be colored by the past, so you can't see possibilities. So most people like to wait for crisis or disease or diagnosis before they wake up enough to see. Well, the challenge is that biology tends to be redundant. So if you keep thinking the same thoughts, and those thoughts begin to fire certain circuits in your brain, the nerve cells that wire together, so all of a sudden you start getting hardwired, and those are the thoughts that you can think the easiest. At the same time, those thoughts produce chemicals called emotions, and the next thing you know, your body gets accustomed to living by the same emotions, and it could be guilt, it could be unhappiness, it could be pain, but at least it's familiar to you, at least you can predict it. So some people would rather cling to the familiar than take a chance in possibilities. So for most people then, they say, well, I don't really see how my thoughts have anything to do with my destiny. Well, that's because 95% of those thoughts are subconscious programs, right? So you're not even conscious that you think those thoughts. So the first step to change is starting to think about what you've been thinking about and change it. And then when you begin to observe those thoughts, you're no longer the program, you're the consciousness observing the program.
Just simply by...
So most people, though, when you do that, when you decide to really take a look, it's like lighting a match in a dark place. So you feel uncomfortable. So it's easier to turn on your TV, it's easier to play with your cell phone, to distract yourself from those feelings. Well, when you understand that change really requires becoming uncomfortable to a certain degree, and that's normal, that you're leaving the known and you're stepping into the unknown, then it begs the question, what thoughts do you want to fire and wire in your brain? Because your attention on those thoughts begins to reorganize circuitry, remold the brain. Why not, put in your time, and then measure the effects of you at cause. I mean, become the scientist in your life, and really start to experiment with it. Okay, let me change my energy. Let me just write down 4 thoughts that, like, it's too hard, I'll start tomorrow, this doesn't feel right, whatever it is. It's this person's fault. Just write those down and say, these thoughts, you may not pass today. This is the end. So then if you become conscious of those thoughts, now you're the governor of your thoughts. What actions, what behaviors do you want to change? Do you complain? Do you blame? Do you judge? Do you make excuses? How do you talk? Do you speak limited? Just pick 4 things that you're not going to do any longer. What emotions get you in trouble? What are the emotions
that you're addicted to too, right?
That you're addicted to that keep you returning back to your past. And if you don't know, close your eyes for about 30 minutes and just watch where your mind goes and watch your feelings, and just say, okay, it's frustration, it's unworthiness, it's self-doubt, it's guilt, it's frustration, it's shame. Just become conscious of those and just review them in your mind so that you don't go unconscious them in your waking day.
It's so powerful because...
All right, so if the word meditation means become familiar with, right?
Yes.
Then, people say, oh, well, you shouldn't focus on the negative. Well, really? That's 95% of who you are. And you got to begin to dismantle or denature that old personality. And that means you're going to have to come up against the cravings that the body has emotionally. Like it's 8 o'clock in the morning and you're doing your meditation, you're normally in traffic and you want to get angry and your body's going, hey, you're off schedule. So let me just find something that's mapped in the brain that I'll bring up a past experience why you can feel a little anger. Well, now, once you become aware of that, now the game is on, right?
Yes.
Because now you're working to become conscious of that and not go unconscious again. And it takes an incredible amount of awareness.
Yes.
It takes a great amount of consciousness, and you can't have consciousness without energy. So you got to raise your energy in order to get to it. Otherwise, you're going to be consumed.
Yes.
You're going to return back, right? So if you start becoming familiar, so conscious of those unconscious thoughts, they would never slip by your mind unchecked by you. Now, that is when you really catch yourself, right? And the research shows that you can get better at this. You could actually sense the thought before it comes. So then you start firing and wiring new thoughts. You start thinking to yourself, who am I going to be when I open my eyes? Well, how am I going to make a difference in the world today? Who am I going to be? How am I going to love? How am I going to give? How am I going to serve? How am I going to contribute? What things do I want to really do today? And in the act of closing your eyes and just thinking about and rehearsing what you're going to do, your brain doesn't know the difference. And if you get caught up in it, you begin to install the neurological hardware in your brain to look like you've already done it. Now the brain's no longer a record of the past. Now it's a map to the future. You are priming your brain, and if you keep doing it, the hardware will become a software program. You know what that means? You just might start acting like a happy person. Well, there's no surprise there. You installed the circuits. Stress hormones arouse the body, so you have your attention on your body. Stress hormones alert the brain, so you're aware of everything in your environment, like an octopus with tentacles in all different directions. You got to control and predict everything in your life. And if you're living by the hormones of stress, you're always investing your attention and energy into the known future based on the past. So you're on a line of time here, in a timeline. So then, let's think about it. How are you going to make thought more real than anything else? How are you going to create from thought? Well, let's close our eyes. Let's disconnect from the environment. Less sensory information coming into the brain, less distraction, as you said. Let's play some soft music in the background. Let's stick some earplugs in our ear, whatever you want to do. Diminish sensory. But now you're sitting down. You're not eating. You're not tasting. You're not smelling. You're not feeling. So there's less sensory input coming to your body. So then now your brain waves begin to change. They start slowing down, and you move from this beta brainwave pattern where you're aware that you have a body in space and time, or your attention is on the outer world, or your senses are giving you information, less sensory information. Now your inner world starts becoming more real than the outer world, and you're not the voice in your head that's always talking to you. As your brain waves change, you start seeing in images and pictures and symbols, and less in that vocalization, that sub-vocalization. So your brainwaves start changing the alpha. You're going to start creating, start dreaming, pretending, right? So then, if you say to your body, you're going to sit down for an hour, and I know you're on a program because you wake up every morning and do the exact same thing, and now I'm going to make you sit, just like sit to an animal. You sit. You stay, and your body's going to say, I'm going to die, my bladder is going to explode, I need a coffee, I got a lot of emails to do. That's the program. And you say to your body, today we do battle. Today, this is it. And you sit through that, and you make your way, even though your body's trying to get up, and you keep settling it back down. I'm telling you, when you start your day that day, you will be more kind, more loving, less judgmental, more patient, more present, because you're mastering the present moment. That means you're not in the predictable future. You're not in the familiar past. You're mastering time. And so then, if where you place your attention is where you place your energy, and all of your attention is in the present moment, you've got a lot of energy to do amazing things. And you know when someone's present with you in your life because they're paying attention to you. And you know when they're not present with you because they're not paying attention to you. So the act of getting more present means you're putting a lot of energy in the present moment, and you're taking your power back from all these things and people in your life. So we teach people this. as they start breaking through and they start being able to unfold into this field as an awareness, and they're not putting their attention on their boss or their ex or their wife or their kids or their cell phone or their WhatsApp or their Facebook, they're not thinking at all. So then, as they're sensing the space, they can't think. And if you can't think, you can't analyze. And if you can't analyze, the analytical mind is what separates the conscious mind from the subconscious. You just open the door.
Wow.
And so now you can reprogram in there, right? So then, it's so important then that of the infinite places you can put your attention, let's put it on your heart. Now, where you place your attention is where you place your energy. Why? Because we want this center to bloom. 1,400, 1,300 different chemicals that restore and regenerate the body. Let's breathe. Let's open this up. Let's practice this. Let's learn how to lead with our heart, a different consciousness. Yeah, in the beginning, it's a little difficult, but you stay with it and you practice it, pedal by pedal by pedal. You're placing your attention there. You're putting your own life force back into your heart. You're turning your love inward, and the body will start responding. And in a week's time, if we're doing that 3 times a day or over and over again, sooner or later, that thing's going to start blooming. And just like when your sexual organs are aroused and they're engorged with blood, this center, when you start feeling love, you make a chemical called oxytocin. Oxytocin signals nitric oxide. Nitric oxide signals a chemical called derived endothelial relaxing factor. You know what that is? It causes the arteries in your heart to literally open up. So your heart is going to be filled with blood and oxygen and nutrients. It's physiological. It's going to feel full. You're going to have a heart-on, in a sense. Your heart is going to fill, right? And when that happens, you experience a level of love that passes all understanding. Your cup runneth over. I mean, it is, and people they're sobbing because they realize that this center finally, like a child. So then, back to your question, let's demystify meditation, because it has so many stigmas around it. Close your eyes. Retreat from your life. Disconnect from your body. Disconnect from your environment. Disconnect from your schedule, and just give yourself an hour or 45 minutes or 20 minutes. Because when you invest in yourself, you invest in your future. And when you believe in yourself, you believe in possibilities. And when you believe in possibilities, you believe in yourself. And if you don't believe in possibilities, then you don't believe in yourself. And you don't believe in yourself, you don't believe in possibilities. So then, but if you have a community, a living organism, where it's becoming the new normal, and you want to join that living organism, and you want to be a part of that, and every stride you make feeds the living organism. Every stride, every effort you make to connect is amazing, because that which we are seeking is seeking us. It's not like it matches our efforts. And so then when people have that uncompromising will, the same way that they go shopping for a dress or a pair of earrings or go to the gym and work out, with the same intensity, with the same passion, come up against themselves and just say, when the body's given everything it has, it's when you say, that's all you got? That's it? That's all you're going to put out? I'm ready. And so then when you start overcoming that, the side effect of it is that all of a sudden you're happy for no reason. And you're less seduced in believing that you need something outside of you to make you feel better. All of a sudden, you're feeling better every day without anything outside of you. And now all of a sudden, you start showing up unpredictable in your life. They're saying, that Ed guy, he's different. He's on a different medication. Something's going on with it. But in actuality, you're just freer, right? And so then as we begin to remove these layers that stop the flow of the divine in us, that in essence in us, the side effect is we become more willful, we become more mindful, we become more conscious, we become more loving. It's its nature, you know. It just becomes who we are.
I love how you explain